It was a Saturday afternoon, a week after the cafe. Arman hadn't expected to see Sara again so soon. He told himself not to overthink, not to replay her words in his mind. But he found himself doing it anyway, remembering the way her eyes lingered on the teacup, the way her laugh loosened something in his chest. He hadn't called. He hadn't written. Tradition dictated that families would follow up, but inside, Arman carried a quiet hope that somehow, fate would intervene. And it did. The second meeting wasn't arranged, not formally. Sara's school had organized a small community reading event at the local library. Children, parents, and a handful of teachers gathering for an afternoon of stories. Arman's sister, a devoted bookworm, had insisted he come along. He had resisted at first, but curiosity, and perhaps something deeper, led him through those library doors. The library was alive with the sounds of children, whispers, giggles, the occasional squeal of excitement. Bright posters of fairy tales and poems lined the walls. A circle of chairs had been set up for the reading. Arman scanned the room, not really knowing what he was looking for, until he saw her. Sara. She was kneeling beside a small boy, helping him pronounce a difficult word. Her hair fell gently over her shoulder, and her voice, soft but steady, carried a warmth that seemed to quiet the restless group of children. When she looked up and spotted him across the room, her surprise was unmistakable. Her eyebrows lifted, then curved into a smile that felt almost like a secret. "Arman," she said when he walked closer, her voice a little incredulous, a little amused. "I could ask the same," he replied, his lips tugging into a grin. "Didn't expect to find you running a library revolution." She laughed, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "It's just a reading circle. Nothing revolutionary about it." "I don't know," he said, glancing at the children gathered around her. "Getting kids to sit still for stories? That sounds pretty heroic to me." Her laughter was soft, but it lingered, and Arman felt the same lightness he'd felt in the cafe return, stronger this time. They spent the next hour together, not because they planned it, but because the world seemed to nudge them closer. Arman sat among the children, listening as Sara read aloud from a well-worn copy of The Little Prince. Her voice wrapped around the words like silk, gentle and mesmerizing. Every so often, she would glance at him, as though checking if he was still there, and every time, he was. After the session ended and parents began collecting their children, Arman and Sara slipped into conversation once more. This time, it flowed even more easily, like a stream that had found its natural course. "You read beautifully," Arman said. "It's easier when the story already carries so much magic," Sara replied. Then, after a pause, she added, "But thank you." They wandered through the aisles of books, their voices dropping to quieter tones, as though the rows of stories demanded reverence. They spoke about childhood favorites, Arman confessing his obsession with comic books, Sara recalling how her father used to read her poetry at bedtime. At one point, she pulled out a slim volume of Rumi's poems and handed it to him. "This is one of my treasures," she said. "Read this one." He read aloud, his voice low and uncertain at first, but as the words unfurled, something shifted. The verses spoke of longing, of love's quiet power, and when he finished, their eyes met. Neither spoke for a long moment. It wasn't dramatic, not the kind of silence heavy with expectation. It was something gentler, as if they both understood that words, for once, weren't necessary. When they finally left the library, the sun was dipping low, painting the sky in strokes of orange and rose. They walked together to the street, their steps slow, unhurried. At the corner, where their paths would diverge, Sara turned to him. "I didn't think we'd meet again like this," she admitted. "Neither did I," Arman said. Then, after a beat, with a smile, "But I'm glad we did." She hesitated, then nodded. "So am I." They parted with another quiet smile, no promises spoken aloud. But as Arman walked away, he felt the certainty settle in his chest. This wasn't coincidence. This was the universe writing the next chapter, and he was already eager to read on.